So in Football Manager, in order to do well, you need to win games. And to do that, you need to score goals. And that is a lot easier said than done, particularly when you're in a bad spell of form. Goals aren't going in and you're heading towards the sack. It's not ideal. But don't worry, it's why I'm here. I'm here to tell you exactly how you can score more goals in Football Manager, take your strikers and whole team to new levels, as well as getting you that all-important promotion. Everything in this video are things that I have tried and have succeeded with in Football Manager, so hopefully some of my experience and knowledge can be passed on to you today. And also, if you do learn something, would much appreciate a like on the video and subscribe if you are new around here. So tip number one is play to your strengths, and particularly when you're at a new team, you need to really understand this quickly in order to do well. If you go to your squad screen and then just along at the top you can click the assistant report, this gives you a really in-depth view of how good your team is, their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, once you've been at a club for a while and you know your players, this is a little bit less useful, but when you're at a brand new club, this is really handy to give you a good overview of what to do with your tactics. For example, I can see here on my team's weaknesses in my Wrexham save, we've got no natural fitness. So for me, that automatically means we need to get rid of like a gegenpress style of play because, quite frankly, the players will not be fit enough to do it. I can also see that our crossing is not very good, so, well, there's no point trying to play out wide and get balls into the middle if they can't cross. It's not going to work. What I can see on our strengths, though, is that we have really good through balls. That's one of our strongest areas, so it must mean we have some very good passers of the ball. I can also see right down here, we have some good dribblers as well as players with good long shots. So if we look at the formation, you can see I've got a double Mezzala midfield right now, which means that Paniotov and Alparslan, they can just get forward, dribble, put the killer balls through into our two strikers to try and score some goals, or alternatively, they can take some long shots because they're pretty good at that as well. This helps us know that we are playing to our strengths, and it means that we are optimizing our team to the best. But as well as playing to your team's strengths, you can also play to the game's strengths as well. Obviously, Football Manager is a game, and the way it's balanced, some things are better than other things. In the past, it's been long throws that used to be deadly. Also, near post corners, they were pretty deadly. At the moment, it's big, beefy strikers. They seem to be a pretty solid way to score plenty of goals. But I also asked you guys on Twitter what your favourite striker combinations are, because personally, I've had a lot of success in FM22 with a false 9 and an advanced forward. But I wanted your guys' suggestions. Loads of them came in, and then the most popular 4 I put to a poll, and you guys decided that the advanced forward and the pressing forward is the best combination of striker. So if you're not playing two strikers, give it a go. With advanced forward and a pressing forward, the community seem to think that's the best option. So why not try it? Play to the game's meta strengths. Also, this was just a nice way for me to plug my Twitter as well to you lot. There's a link down in the description to follow me at TomFM_YT. The YT has to be there because there's a kid in Spain who's got TomFM and he won't give it to me, which is really annoying. So I've got to have the _YT at the end of my username, which is not much fun. So tip number 2 is utilise your midfielders. Now, obviously, in scoring goals, you think your strikers are going to get them. But actually, I found that midfielders are also pretty solid at getting goals in the right roles. In my formation, I've got 2 Mezzalas and a centre mid on attack. And essentially, they almost act as secondary strikers, to be fair. Let me explain. Because we have no wingers in this formation and our fullbacks are fairly defensive, the 2 Mezzalas get forward to the wide areas of the penalty area, and if the ball comes to them, they shoot and score quite a lot. Paniotov on the centre mid in the attack role almost acts like a shadow striker, to be fair. He's always in and around the edge of the penalty area, or sometimes in it, gets the ball, takes shots and scores. If we look at Paniotov's history, so far he's got 4 goals in 7 league appearances, 11 the season before that and 10 the season before that. Now, of course, that's nothing special, but how many centre mids are usually scoring 10 plus goals a season? Daniel Patrick, one of our Mezzalas, another example. This season, 1 in 6, which isn't too bad, but 6 the season before that, 13 the season before that. He's adding tons of goals to our team. And although Alparslan is new, we have got 7 goals from last season, along with 11 assists as well, and then 3 goals too so far this season in 5 games. Vasco Sousa, another centre mid of ours, not quite as prolific in front of goal, although did score quite a few for Braga before joining us, but 3 and 6 in his previous 2 seasons, again, are not bad returns for a centre midfielder. So the point is, if your strikers aren't that great, particularly when it comes to finishing, like Frank Nice for example, his finishing's only 12, it's it's not that good. We've got players down here, Randy Ramheimer finishing a 13, not that high for a Premier League team. Having midfielders who can take shots and crucially finish them off is superb. Now, for this next tip, it sounds very counterintuitive, but trust me, I've had a lot of success with it. To explain what I mean, we're jumping into one of my offline saves with Lincoln City, my team that I support. And in my formation, I ensured that every single player had shoot less often turned on. So as you can see, my striker, shoot less often. My shadow striker, shoot less often. My wingers are on shoot less often. The other winger, shoot less often. I don't think my Segundo Volantes have it because they're not really getting forward that much, but my wing backs will have shoot less often on, shoot less often on, and my centre backs shoot less often. So why would you want to shoot less often? Well, the idea behind shooting less often, at least in my opinion, is that it stops strikers or any player taking unnecessary shots. They're trying to wait for the perfect opportunity to take the shot to actually get a decent shot on target on goal. Rather than shooting from 25 yards out and it's never going to go in the back of a net, they'll be patient, they'll wait, they'll build up the play a little more until someone's in a better position to take a really good shot on goal with a high XG rating and put it in the back of a net. And so, to demonstrate this, if we look at the league table, annoyingly, we only came second in this season. But, as you can see, we scored 100 goals this season. And that is a lot more than Wigan, who came second in the top scoring charts. 31 more goals. Balogun got 28 goals, Lundulu got 27, Tom Hopper got 14, Adelakan got 12, and then it goes down to the 7s, 5s, and so on and so forth for players lower down. But my main attacking players absolutely dominated the goal scoring charts this season. So I know it sounds counterproductive, I know it doesn't quite sound right, but it really does help increase the quality of shots that your guys are taking, so give it a shot. Tip number 4, talk to your players. It's one of the best ways you can actually get some performance boosts out of them. Players react in different ways in Football Manager, particularly to one-on-one conversations, and usually if you slate a player for not scoring or praising them for scoring goals, they tend to perform better in the next few games. I've got a prime example here with my striker, Pedro Pereira. Now, he's got 17 finishing, he's got 17 pace, he gets so many one-on-one opportunities and bottles them time after time. It's so frustrating. And my plan was to slate him. I was going to absolutely slate him for not scoring goals, but I forgot to do it. And then the next game, he actually scored a goal. So what did I do? I praised him. Now, as you can see, other than this hat-trick that he scored against Leicester, he hadn't really scored many goals at all season. He was struggling. Then got this one goal against Hoffenheim. I praised him and said, great work in front of goal last time. And, well, after that, 1, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10 goals in his next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. Absolutely insane. I think having conversations with your players when they are playing poorly and when they're playing well is such an underrated thing in Football Manager because it really spurs them on and gets them playing better. Now, obviously, you need to work out what happens. Now, obviously, you need to work out how your players best react, and that is usually to do with their mentality and personality. So, as we can see, Pereira has got a fairly professional personality, which should mean criticism or praise, he should be able to take it quite well because he's a fairly professional person. A player with a personality that is fickle, for example, or mercenary, would probably not react well to being slated. You'd have to tread a bit more carefully around those players, but with trial and error, you can work out what makes your players tick. And when you do, talk to them. Talk to them, talk to them, talk to them, and you will see results. And so the final tip that I want to talk to you about, if the other things aren't working, then something you can work on individually with each player, and it takes a little bit of time to get going, but when it does, it can work out really, really well. And that is, of course, player traits. Now, talking specifically for strikers, I think there are 3 key player traits that you can drill into them to make them score more goals. There are quite a few player traits in general, and there's a few that I think you should probably ignore. They're not going to help too much. Personally, lobbing the keeper, shooting from distance, attempting overhead kicks, and first-time shots, they're all quite specialist, and they're not really designed to help your strikers score more goals or players score more goals. I don't find them that useful personally. What I do find useful is attempts to round the keeper, shoots with power, and places shots. So we'll talk first about attempts to round the keeper, and because they attempt to round the keeper doesn't mean they're going to do it all the time, but it means when they've got the opportunity to do so, they might try and take it, and it's going to open up their chance to score more goals. This is useful for a player who's usually in and around the penalty area, in and around the 6-yard area, who's got really good dribbling attributes, but probably quite low finishing attributes. As well as dribbling high, technique, anticipation, composure, decisions, and maybe even flair might help out. For me, in my save with Wrexham, I think Frank Neese would be the perfect candidate for this. His finishing is pretty low at 12, but if we look at his dribbling, it's up at 17, his composure at 14, decisions at 16, his flair at 15, his technique at 16, he'd actually be perfect for it. So the best thing to do is to try and train him to do it to try and score some more goals. So if we go to the development and training tab, what we can do within here is then go to this discuss new trait option and discuss a new trait with one of our attacking coaches. We'll talk to Dirk Kuyt about it. Let's talk to him and say finishing training, and then we'll say in this list somewhere, where is it? Tries to go around the keeper when 1-on-1. And I think this is suitable. We're going to start this training right now. That's how you get the training going for your players. And there we go, likes around the keeper. That is being trained into Frank Neese right now, and it's really going to help his game, I think, going forward. At the other end of the scale, if you've got strikers with incredibly high finishing, but are kind of rubbish at everything else, shoots with power is a really good tool to utilise. Essentially, strikers who are a little bit further back, they are going to be around the edge of the area as opposed to right up in the 6-yard area, or even midfielders who've got good long shooting attributes. Shoot to power is a great addition. And then the third player trait that I would recommend training your strikers to do kind of fits into the middle of both the other two. So whereas shoot to power is basically focused on finishing, and liking to go around the keeper is basically focused on everything but finishing, in the middle is places shots, where you need good finishing and good technique and good composure. A combination of everything. Your better strikers probably. Or not even necessarily your strikers. Any player who's going to have time and space in and around the penalty area to place a shot perfectly into a top corner or the bottom corner, it's worth training on them. So to recap the methods that we've talked about in today's video, we need to play to our strengths. Make sure you have a look at your squad review to see what your team is good and what your team is bad at, but also take into account the game's meta a little bit as well, and you should see some results. Of course, you could also try to utilise other players other than your strikers. Trying a really attacking centre midfield can really help get some goals added to your team's total for the season. If you feel like you're wasting a ton of chances in games, put shoot less often on as a tactical instruction for your players to try and generate some better quality chances, which they should be able to finish a lot more often. If your players still aren't scoring, then slate them. But if they are scoring, make sure you praise them to keep that form going. And then, of course, if they really are struggling to score some goals, maybe think about taking it to the next level in training and training some specific players' traits that are going to suit their attributes and help them score more goals in the future. So hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you'll take some of these ideas into your save file, play around with them and see if they work. And if they do, let me know down below in the comment section. Other than that, I've not got a lot to say really. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed, and I'll see you all soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.